If you're hearing this, stop watching. Don't go near Greywick Prison. We thought we were filming ghosts. Turns out, ghosts were the quietest thing in there. The air inside was thick, like something breathing through the walls. Every step echoed too long, like the hallway didn't end. I tried to count how many doors we passed, but the numbers never matched. Then I heard it. 3 breaths that weren't ours. If this recording cuts off, it's because whatever's still inside doesn't like being watched. We didn't plan it to be a dare. It started as content. One night inside Greywick Prison. Just me, Daniel, and Mia. 3 cameras, 2 flashlights, 1 goal. Stay until sunrise. Daniel said ghosts were for views. Mia said they were for proof. I just wanted the clicks to pay rent. Locals told us no one stayed past midnight. They didn't warn us like storytellers. They said it like witnesses. One man grabbed my arm outside the gas station, eyes wide. If you hear the count, leave before it ends. We laughed it off. We always laughed before we pressed record. We got there just before dark. The sky had that color that means the sun's giving up. The wind cut through the trees, like it was warning us to turn around. The fence wasn't hard to climb, just tall enough to make you hesitate. Metal rattled under my hand, the kind of sound that carries too far. The moment my boots hit the other side, the air changed. Heavy, damp, smelled like rust and old water. Daniel joked that it was perfect lighting for a thumbnail. Mia whispered something under her breath. Quiet, quick, maybe a prayer. I didn't ask. The flashlight swept across the yard. Broken glass, weeds, a watchtower leaning like it had been watching too long. Every open cell door looked like a mouth waiting to speak. Somewhere deep inside, something dripped. Slow, steady, counting the seconds until the dark finished swallowing the light. Cell Block C was colder than the rest. The hallway stretched ahead, like it was built to trap sound. Every step came back to us twice. Once from our feet, once from somewhere deeper. Mia's light hit the wall first. Big letters, scratched in black, they never left. The paint was dry, but the edges looked fresh, like someone had written it with a shaking hand. Daniel laughed under his breath, said it was probably a prank. I wanted to believe him, until the recorder picked up something low, like a hum. None of us heard it then. Only later, when I played it back, did I realize it wasn't a hum at all. It was breathing, slow, measured, close. The beam of my flashlight caught movement at the far end, shoulder height, quick, gone before I blinked. I called out. Nothing. Then a door somewhere behind us groaned shut. Not slammed, just eased into place, like it didn't want to be noticed. Mia's voice cracked. Someone's in here. I told her no one was, but even I didn't sound like I believed it. Greywick Prison opened in 1932. On paper, it was meant to hold 600 men. Records show more than 1,000 by the time the riots began. The reports I found were thin, pages missing, names blacked out, but the pattern was always the same. Fires, beatings, silence from the wardens. One entry from 1954 just said, "Containment failed. North Wing lost." No follow-up. No bodies listed. The worst story came from the night the warden disappeared. They said he locked himself inside solitary with a can of kerosene. When guards broke in the next morning, the door was still bolted from the inside, but the room was empty. Only the outline of boots burned into the floor. Locals claim he never left. They call him the keeper. Said he counted the prisoners every night, even after there were none left to count. The old recordings we found had that same low hum from Cell Block C, faint, behind the static, almost like someone whispering numbers, over and over, waiting for someone to answer. The temperature kept dropping, and the equipment started dying one by one. First the lights flickered, then the battery indicators dropped to 0, all at once. Even the backup recorder glitched, playing everything backward, voices twisting into sounds that didn't belong to language. Daniel tried to laugh it off, said ghosts must have needed a power charge. His voice echoed down the hallway, sharp against the walls. Then, without warning, a cell door slammed behind him. The metal hit so hard it rattled the floor. He shouted, kicked, hammered against it. We pulled at the handle, but it wouldn't move. The air felt thick, like the whole place was holding its breath. Mia started praying again. I kept the camera on the door, waiting for something, anything, to explain what we just saw. Then silence. No screams, no footsteps, just a soft scrape of something sliding away on the other side. When the door finally swung open, Daniel stumbled out, pale, shaking. He said nothing, just looked past us, down the corridor, eyes fixed on the half-closed cell at the end. I asked what he saw. He whispered, someone was counting. We thought the worst was over, but then the microphone started to repeat us, only wrong, delayed, offbeat, like an echo that refused to stop. At first it was background noise, tiny fragments looping, then a full phrase came through. Count them again. Over and over. Each mic picked it up separately, even the one still packed in the bag. Daniel tried to laugh, but it came out flat. I started counting the cells out loud to prove it was nothing. 12 on one side, 12 on the other, 24 total. But the wall marking said 23. Mia froze. She kept looking behind her, said she heard another breath, another set of steps, always one too many. When we played the last recording back, there were 4 voices, mine, Daniel's, Mia's, and one whisper, repeating the phrase, perfectly in time with the knocking that had started behind the walls. Knock, knock, knock. The sound came steady, calm, like whoever was counting knew exactly how long we'd been there. Daniel wandered off before any of us noticed. 1 second he was behind me, swearing under his breath about the batteries, and the next, his light was gone. I called his name. Nothing, only the recorder picking up static, sharp and constant, like the signal was being pulled apart. Mia started shaking. We followed the noise. Every hallway looked the same, every corner darker than the last. Then we saw it. His camera, face down on the floor, still recording. I picked it up and pressed play. The screen flickered with his point of view, his boots the wall, the beam of his flashlight catching movement ahead. He whispered something, too soft to catch. Then, for half a second, the frame steadied. In the far corner of the hall stood a man in a guard's uniform. The badge glinted once in the light, then static swallowed the image. When the feed returned, the hall was empty. We found no footprints, no dropped light, just the echo of our own breathing, trapped between walls that suddenly felt too close. We searched the west wing first. The air was heavier there, thick with dust that hung instead of falling. Every sound bounced back twice, the clatter of our steps, the faint hum still bleeding through the recorders. Then Mia saw a faint light down a hallway we hadn't entered yet. We followed it and found the control room. The door was half open, hinges rusted, but the screens inside were still alive. Green glow, flickering static, old security monitors that should have died decades ago. I wiped one clean with my sleeve. The screen sharpened our hallway, us, from behind. For a long second, we didn't move. The camera was somewhere inside the prison, still working, still watching. Mia leaned closer to another monitor. Her hand covered her mouth. This one showed Daniel. He was standing in front of cell 13, back to the camera, head tilted down like he was listening to something. The feed stuttered. When it cleared, he was closer, face nearly pressed to the wall. I reached for the power switch. but before I could touch it, every monitor turned towards static. The hum rose again, louder this time, like breathing right against glass. The sound came before the fear did. Heavy boots, steady, measured. Not the shuffle of rats or wind. Real weight, metal on concrete. Getting closer. Mia whispered my name, but I couldn't answer. My light caught dust, swirling in front of us, like the air was shifting around something large. Then the beam landed on a shape at the end of the hall. A tall figure stood there, uniform blackened, edges charred. The badge on the chest looked half-melted, numbers gone. Smoke rose from him without heat. The sound of boots stopped, but the echo didn't. I raised the camera. He lifted his head. The voice that came wasn't through air. It came through every device at once. Distorted, breaking, lights out. Every bulb shattered. The flashlight cut. Darkness swallowed everything. Mia screamed. The radio burst with static, screams layered over it. Out of sync. Human, but not. Something hit the floor beside me. Chains dragged, scraping close, then pulling away. I remember grabbing the recorder. Then nothing. Just that voice repeating, lower now, almost calm. When I woke up, it was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that means something's waiting. The flashlight was gone. The recorder still ran, faint red light blinking like a heartbeat. Mia's bag lay near the gate, unzipped, half covered in dirt. The gate itself hung open, swaying with the wind. I called her name once. No answer. Then came the footsteps, slow, deliberate, from the corridor behind me. I didn't look back. I ran. The courtyard was lit only by moonlight, every shadow looking like it wanted to move. Boots echoed behind me, heavy and even, matching my pace exactly. The fence was ahead, closer than I remembered. My lungs burned, air slicing cold through my throat. I hit the ground on the other side, gravel tearing my hands. Behind me, the footsteps stopped. For a long second, nothing. Then far off, a siren wailed, a sound that didn't belong to rescue. It sounded like the prison waking up again. They found me just after dawn, lying by the outer fence. I remember the sound of gravel under the boots, radios crackling, the blur of flashlights through the mist. They kept asking where the others were. I couldn't answer. Every time I tried, the words slipped out of order. By noon, they called it exhaustion, hallucination from stress. Said the building was condemned, power disconnected for years. Nothing there but concrete and dust. But one of the officers pulled me aside before they left. He had the camera, said it was still recording when they found it. I watched the footage frame by frame later. The last few seconds before the blackout, Mia's scream, my flashlight swinging, the guard standing in the doorway. The badge caught the light for a moment. Then he moved. Slow, stiff. The same tilt of the head Daniel always had when he was trying to listen. The tape ended there, and I stopped watching. I told myself I'd delete the footage, but that night I couldn't sleep. So I played it again. At first, it was just static and breathing. Then the whisper returned. Clear this time. Closer than before. Count them again. I froze. There were 4 voices. Mine, Daniel's, Mia's, and another that matched none of us. Calm. Precise. I paused the frame. The screen showed me standing near the exit, camera shaking in my hand. But behind me, just over my shoulder, was Mia. Still, eyes open, watching the lens. She never made it out. They said Greywick Prison was empty. No guards, no inmates, no power. But when I hit record, something always answers. Never words, just sound. Breathing, counting, waiting. I tried recording outside, far from that place. Same result. Same voice. Count them again. I stopped checking the tapes after that, but sometimes, when the house is quiet, I hear it through the walls. Soft knocks, spaced apart, patient. 1, 2, 3, 4. Every time I count, I swear I hear another knock join in, like someone's keeping score, and it never stops at 4. If you're still watching, you've heard it too. Subscribe and tell me in the comments, would you spend one night there?